Hello, hello. It's Elizabeth Elenor and it's pause, and I'm doing it from my car. I've actually just got home from, I hope you can hear me actually. I hope you can hear me. I don't usually have headphones in. I'm doing it from my car because I've actually just come back from the Gold Coast, and because of the time difference, I totally forgot about, when pause was on and all that sort of stuff. I'd love for you to let me know. Hey, Jay Ma, lovely to have you here. Can you just let me know if you can hear me, because I don't usually have headphones in, and I thought I'd just keep my headphones in. So I wanted to talk to you about how the world is full of patterns, and I just spent 3 days with some astronomical beautiful friends and peers of mine, and we all got together to do like a retreat, but more in a way of connecting. Hey Mel, how you going? In a way of connecting together and doing some processes and really looking at our businesses and collaboration and all of those wonderful things. And what we did as a collective was we worked together to create a grid pattern or a sacred geometry pattern over the top of our Airbnb in the space where we were doing the collective, processes and just talking and connecting with each other and getting to know each other in a deeper level. And it made me think about the patterns that are in the world, because everything has a sound and a form to it. And the world is full of like a matrix energy. Hey Susan, lovely to have you here. There's a matrix or this energetic grid system that's over the planet, and there's also these, forms or, grid lines that go through the planet. There's patterns and forms in everything on our planet, within us, within the world. The way creation happens, there's a thing called the Fibonacci sequence, where it's a mathematical pattern that is creating the form of a flower or a nauticus shell, for example. The way our body is designed is a mathematical, continuum. Our arms are the length of other parts of our body. I can't remember because I don't go right into it, but I work with it on an energetic level. So when you go, for example, into some place, for example, you would go into, a sacred building, for example, a church or a mosque or a Buddhist center, or somewhere where there is a lot of people who've been praying or meditating or creating peace in that space. There would be a mathematical or a sacred geometry shape within that, vibration, within that field, that's holding that vibration and holding that energy in a certain frequency. So we can actually have that when we have something that's in a dysfunction or a balance within our body that is causing us some sort of resistance to, getting where we want to, or causing us pain or grief or some sort of dysfunction, that actually can have its own mathematical sacred geometry imbalance. It's holding a structure. So you can actually clear that structure by creating a different pattern instead. You can, spend time with setting an intention of holding the vibration of balance or love or health or transformation or peace or wealth or abundance or whatever it may be, you feel that vibration and you can create your own pattern to actually set that in motion within you, right? So that you are forming a new pattern. And it's the same with relationships. So, we're getting closer to Valentine's Day, and I have been feeling into what is the next thing that I'm going to be creating? What is the next thing that's going to serve the women of light community and, hold the vibration of what women are really needing at the moment. And one of the things that I have noticed just, through my social media posts is how much engagement I get from the connection that I have with my beautiful partner, Tim. And, the way we met was very romantic, met him on the beach. But there was a strong process that happened beforehand for me to really connect in and get to understand or be able to meet my soul partner on that level. And so there was a pattern and a grid formation that was created in my field for me to be able to draw that energy in, right? And so think of yourself in relation to others that are in your world. And hey, Irene, think of the people that are in your world and that you're in relationship with. There would be a particular sacred geometry pattern that can be locked in, that can be holding a particular vibration, and unless you intentionally shift that, it can be holding you in patterns. So on the weekend, it was a classic example of this is if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, my name is Elizabeth Elenor, and I do a process called recoding, but I do a whole heap of other processes as well. Basically, what I'm here to do is to support women to raise their vibration, to live at their highest frequency, to create that change and that love and that connection and that, sovereignty that they actually know that's their divine birthright, right? On the weekend, we were doing stuff, and there was a guy there that he recognized as he was talking. He was saying, or he didn't recognize, he was sharing with the group that from his childhood, and he said, don't know where it came from exactly, but he goes into, and this is my language, he goes into risk assessment of what's going on around him, and when he starts checking out, and so he'll stop, he doesn't focus, he can't focus anymore, and it's like he's not there and he goes somewhere. So if you're in the middle of something, when he comes back in, he's missed half of the instructions, and so then he just pretends and sort of goes with the flow and makes it up because he, like a meditation or something like that. And he said, it doesn't matter how many recodes I've done, it's always been there. And as soon as I heard him say that, I'm like, oh man, he just needs a whiteout process, like I knew straight away what he needed, because what happens is there's something that triggers him in the field from a previous thought pattern, something that has caused disharmony for him to check out of his body. And so he, whenever that same sort of thing comes up, it's naturally occurring in his system that when he gets that trigger, he just out he goes, and he switches off and checks out of his body, right? And so what's happening is that the pattern is the neural pathways that cause that trigger are firing together and they're wiring together. So therefore, when that trigger happens, it just naturally happens that he checks out. So I said to him, hey, all you need is this, and let's do it at lunchtime. And so at lunchtime, I did this whiteout process where it basically scatters the information. So the trigger can no longer happen, and so therefore the neural pathways can't fire and wire together again, because the pattern is no longer, like, the body and the mind has been confused, right? And so therefore it stops those that wiring happening. And what happens is then the body has to rewire into a new pattern, and that's what happened. He noticed by the end of the day that he didn't check out, and he was more focused, and it was a quick, honestly, it must have been about 10 minutes, if that, of doing this process. So we have different patterns that are happening in our life, and as a woman of light, I invite you to really tune in to what are the patterns that are happening in your life, and how are they serving you? Are they serving you to live at your highest capacity? And are you able to hold that vibration of what it is that your intention is, and be able to serve yourself and others the way you choose to, the way you want to live? Or are you finding that there's patterns that you disconnect or get triggered by, or certain people that trigger you in certain capacity, and you find that shadow coming back, that dysfunction, or that lower self that tends to want to hold you in the disillusioned, in the powerless structure, in the I'm not significant, I don't belong, I'm not capable, whatever it is that your trigger is. And what is it that's triggering you, and how can you shift that so that it's really is a vibrational shift? It's changing the form of that pattern. So, because it's not you. I want you to know that it's not you. We have been conditioned to believe that this is who I am, and this is, all I can do, and this is, like, it's a pattern continuously. This guy had it for 40 years, right? And he said, it doesn't matter how many recodes I do, this pattern, I've just had it and had it and had it, and I can't get rid of it. And a 10-minute process, bang, like it was gone, right? And so it wasn't him, it was a pattern that had permanently been created within his system that caused that what seemed to be a permanent characteristic of him, and his identity then goes, this is who I am, right? But it's not who we are. We are women of light, and being of the light means being creators, or creatrix is, I've just discovered that creatrix is the word for the feminine creator. So I will be using that a little bit more, because it sounds so yummy. We are the beautiful beings of light that are here to change our frequency, live that abundance, live that life that we love, live that connection, and as we do, we give permission to others to do the same. As Marianne Williamson says, we change our vibration, our frequency changes, our frequency lets go of the old dysfunctional patterns, and the ripple effect from that is astounding. There's a guy that I read his information years and years ago called Stephen Hawkins, and he's got a book called Force versus Nature versus Force. Actually, I can't remember what his book's called, but it's quite a complex book. But he was able to be aware of the frequencies and actually measure the frequencies of particular emotions. So with megahertz, But he was saying when we move just slightly out of an old pattern and the frequency changes and lifts up even just slightly, the ripple effect, and I can't remember the statistics. If I can't remember the name of the book, I can't remember the percentages, but I do remember that it was actually thousands of people that are affected by that ripple. So when you laugh, when you are in your joy, when you are in your woman, that light that you are, that's within you, that is your natural being, that ripples out to thousands and thousands and thousands. And it's just on the weekend, this beautiful connection with women and men. Well, actually, there was 3 men there and a little bub that I had only met at an event prior. One or two of them I'd connected with afterwards on a phone call or Zoom, but I really didn't know. One of them I hadn't even met. This beautiful, just holding this equality, this space of collaboration, all of us being feeling like peers, and it was like we were coming back together. And it was just so beautiful to have that space, because all of us have done so much work. Power versus force. Thank you, Susan. I thank you so much. I couldn't remember what it was. Power versus force. So Stephen Hawkins, power versus force. Very deep, very detailed. If you're into that, mathematical, right brain stuff, then is it right brain, left brain? I think it's the left brain that's logical. So all the aspects of that deep detailed stuff, if that's you, then get that book and check it out, because it's got some really great information. However, that real connection of living with women and men that were all had done so much work on themselves to come together, and when we didn't really know each other, and stay together in a house for 3 days, really supporting each other in who we are, in our collaboration as a group. That is that new vibration that's coming in. That's a real connection to community, to relationship with others, to allowing people to be who they are, and you be comfortable being who you are. That's what we all want, right? We want this beautiful, loving, supportive community where there is no competition. You don't have to watch your back. You don't have to, be triggered by old patterns. You don't have to be concerned about judgment, ridicule, feeling less than, any of those things. And so if you've got that in your life, be aware of what those patterns are. Just be aware, okay, I just got triggered again by that same thing, and what is it that is causing that, and how can you shift that process? And setting the intention to do it is the first thing. Setting the intention of changing your vibration, and what do I choose instead? So being the predominant creator in your life, and going, what do I choose instead? If I'm feeling this way and it's causing me to feel like crap, what do I choose instead? And so be aware of those patterns, because the world is full of them. Feel that vibration. When you feel into, or you see a beauty in nature, or in an environment, like I was saying before, this meditation space, or a sacred building, and you can feel that energy, choose that. I choose this. I feel this. It feels good and it's safe for me. when you're doing that, you're supporting the unconscious to recognize that, okay, I'm going to say yes to this. I'm going to say yes to this, and it's safe. So I'm saying yes to this, and it will move you forward incrementally. However, I want to get you to watch this space. I will be sharing very soon my next webinar coming up in February, and it's going to be just after Valentine's Day. I don't know what I'm calling it yet, but it's going to be about relationships and really finding that connection and, getting ready for your soulmate. That's what I might call it. Take care, everyone. I am going to head off and get out of my car. Well, I've got to drive home first. I'm in a car park, so I'm going to head home. I hope you got some value out of this session. Thank you, Susan. And I will catch you soon. I would love for you to let me know what your takeaways were, what resonated to you, and just any moments of reflection of what are some of the triggers or some of the patterns that are happening for you. Actually, if you're interested, I think it's on tomorrow, to tell you the truth. I have a masterclass coming up called Awakening, and it's about, the getting illogical, magical results now, right? Because when you understand how to create, then that supports you even further into creating illogical results faster, quicker, and living the dream life that you know that you deserve. So take care. Thank you so much, and I will catch you very shortly. Mwah.